regularly scheduled Village Council meeting for the Village of Beverly Hills for Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Mercer?
Present.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Here.
Mr. Abood?
Here.
Mr. Drummond? Mr.
Online in chamber. Are we online? We're online. Okay. In
I'm
chamber.
hearing the Zoom link's not working.
It's the word on the street. Zoom link might not be working. So. All right.
Let people
We are broadcasting. We just don't know if we've got the Zoom link up. So we'll work on that. So if anybody comes back with community announcements, we can come back to that. Public comments. Anyone in chamber or online who would like to make a public comment? Hearing none, we'll go on to the consent agenda. 2 items on the consent agenda this evening. Number 1, approval of October 21st, 2025 council meeting minutes. And number 2, review and file bills recapped as of Monday, November 3rd, 2025.
Mr. George, at this time, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Beverly Hills approve the consent agenda as read. Support.
Support from Mrs. Cascometti. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abood?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. We're on to the business agenda. There are 5 items on the business agenda this evening. Thank you for numbering them. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
Number 1, consider special land use request by the Beverly Hills Academy. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, before you this evening is the consideration of a special land use permit for Beverly Hills Academy for the construction of an accessory building on their property. Again, a special land use is a decision in which the council determines, does this proposed use make sense for this property? It is not a site plan review. It is rather a special land use review. To tell us more, we have Director Steck here, and I'll turn it over to her at the moment.
Good evening, all. I hope you're doing well. Tonight we have our special land use for Beverly Hills Academy. They are seeking to construct a storage shed on their property. As Manager Rothy said, this is under the purview of council. Planning Commission has already reviewed the site plan. They had their required public hearing earlier this year in June. And we did not receive any comments at the public hearing, but we did have some inquiries in advance of that public hearing, and we did have one written comment that was received. Ultimately, at that June 25th meeting, the consideration was tabled in order to give the time to the applicant to make some required adjustments to their plan. Those adjustments and clarification were related to the construction of the building material. In terms of, there are ordinance provisions that provide direction that accessory buildings should be constructed in a way that reflect the character of their surrounding buildings. So as part of that, when they did come back again in August, they've updated their plans to now show that there will be wainscoting, masonry brick wainscoting around all sides of the storage shed. That's going to be of a kind of burgundy Merlot color, and then the remainder of the building is going to be a taupe-ish color, and the roof, the metal roof, is also going to be burgundy as well, and those align with their color palette for the school itself. Really, because of the minimal nature of the project, there really wasn't anything else that was part of the project. The landscaping is sufficient on site. They're not disturbing any area that already has landscaping. I mean, there's grass there, but and they've indicated their lighting plans. The residents that inquired about the project were generally supportive of it, and their concerns were honestly about the traffic coming in and out of that school site. But as is noted on the memo, Planning Commission approved the site plan on a 3-2 vote and recommended special land use approval to Village Council under that same motion. We do have the applicant here to answer any questions that I may not have addressed, but I'm happy to answer first.
Questions from council? The concern from the dissenting members of planning was just...
There was some probably disappointment maybe in the just overall coordination of the plans. Really, I think they were satisfied that the plans were updated to more align with the ordinance itself and those requirements. I think there were more aesthetic concerns.
And you're comfortable now?
Yes, I think we've managed to work through those questions and concerns with the applicant and her design professionals that have been assisting her with this, and I think ultimately we're going to have a good quality product, and they're going to have some very much needed storage space for their school supplies, and really free up some space within the actual building for what its intended purpose is, right?
Mr. Abud.
Thank you. Obviously, I'm all for this, anything to do with schools for me personally. As far as the understanding that it's a private school or the ordinances are a bit different, what is this the maximum they can go as far as size, or could they have gone bigger or smaller, just out of curiosity?
They could have gone larger if they had chosen to, but...
Okay. But you thought it would infringe on, landscaping, this and that?
There was no, the size of the structure wasn't part of the concern.
All right.
Yeah.
That's all. Thanks.
Mr. George?
Yes.
I actually, since the Zoom link doesn't seem, somebody sent me a public comment because they couldn't get on, so I'll read it for them. This is from Allie Schultz on Dunblane Avenue. I want to express my support for the proposed storage shed at Beverly Hills Academy. The school is a true asset to our community, providing an exceptional education and enriching experiences for local families. As educators, additional storage space would be incredibly helpful for organized learning materials and helping us support our kids. The shed would not be visible from public view and would not alter the character of the village. It's a simple, practical improvement that supports the meaningful work happening at Beverly Hills Academy every day. That's it.
All right. Other questions?
No.
Comments, concerns from council? Anyone going twice?
The following conditions: compliance with regulations, the development use and maintenance of the property must comply at all times with all applicable village codes and ordinances as they have been or may have be amended over time, including without limitation the zoning ordinance. Compliance with plans, the development, use, and maintenance of the accessory building on the property must be in strict accordance with the plans submitted by the owner, consistent of 17 sheets, a copy of which is attached and by reference made a part of the resolution as Exhibit A, except for minor changes and site work approved by the building official within his respective permitting authority in accordance with the applicable village codes, ordinances, and standards. And finally, Section 4, amendment of the special land use permit. Any amendments to the special land use permit that may be requested by the owner may be granted only pursuant to the procedures and subject to the standards and limitations provided in the zoning ordinance.
Support.
Support for Mr. Abud. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rojusco?
Yes.
Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations. I'll follow up with you tomorrow on the next steps.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
On to number 2 on the business agenda, public hearing and consideration of the program year 2026 Community Development Block Grant Funding Allocation. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, this is an annual item for us in which we consider our program year 2026 Community Block Grant Development funding allocation through Oakland County. We do have to have a public hearing, so I'll turn it over to Director Steck to talk more about the request, set the stage for the public hearing. Again, this is an annual item. There has been some changes that Oakland County has made to the program and how they allow us to go after and apply and seek funding. She's the expert in this, so I'm going to turn it over to her right now to provide more information.
All right, good evening. I don't know if I can call myself an expert. There, changes are really happening kind of on the fly, but, so Oakland County has historically allocated funds based on, it's a formula-based allocation, essentially coming down to what census blocks are income qualified. This has, due to our census block makeup, we get the minimum amount. And that has really hovered around the $14,000 mark total, right? That has been split between public services, yard services, right? So that's, mowing, grass mowing, that's leaf pickup, that's even shoveling in the winter. And then the other program that we've allocated funding towards is minor home repair, and those are truly minor home repairs. It's like replacing a ceiling fan or swapping out plumbing fixtures in a bathroom, very, very light kind of work. Both of these programs have been utilized fairly regularly, but by a pretty small group of individuals that are income qualified to utilize those services. And part of I kind of spelled it out a little bit in the memo, the way yard services are defined is under the public service bucket, and that comes down from the federal definitions, right? And the federal funding says that only 15% of the total allocation, so 15% of what Oakland County gets to distribute can be used for public services, right? Which is why that amount is a little bit lower than that minor home repair bucket of funding. This year, Oakland County is changing the way they're doing this. The direction they've been given from the powers that be are that they would like to see more impactful programs. So the long and short of it is it comes down to being a competitive process now. So we could pursue more funding for minor home repair, for example, but there's no guarantee that we would get any of it. The only money that is guaranteed for us this year is the public services funding. We have, under direction of Oakland County, they have said to utilize the $3,500 as our estimated allocation total for this year. If that changes, if that goes up, amazing, we'll still get that allocation. If it goes down, it goes down. And that's typically the way that goes in past years as well, right? We never quite know exactly what the funding level is going to be. This can be revisited next year, right? Once we say, okay, just public services this year, if we determine that we would like to pursue additional funds, we certainly can. They rolled all this out in August, right? And one of the questions that was asked at the meeting was, do these have to be shovel-ready projects? And yes, they do. They have to be shovel-ready projects, and we don't have any shovel-ready projects for this funding for this year. So we can certainly revisit this for future years. I have a feeling that a lot will change as they continue to roll this out and navigate us through this change. But so for this year, for program year 26, we are requesting $3,500 for the use of public services for grass cutting, leaf pickup, and snow removal in the winter for our income-qualified seniors.
All right. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. George. Ms. Steck, can you remind me, are there other pots of money that Next can work with? I'm thinking of residents that might have sort of critical home repair. I'm thinking broken door, broken window, something that's maybe a safety issue. I mean, are there still resources available for those folks for those sorts of instances?
There are still funds. There is program funding it is still through Oakland County and their housing fund. I'm blanking on their exact title, but they do have some additional resources. That is a separate pot of funding that they have access to, so we can certainly direct them to that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And we do still have a small balance in our minor home repair program that we still have access to that. I want to say, I just got an invoice earlier today, so I think that'll probably bring our total down to about $3,000 left to work with.
So that balance does carry over?
Yep, that'll carry over for another 2 years,
Okay, thank
but
you.
I'm sure we'll use it up before then.
And just to be clear, we did speak with this change in programming with Next, and they endorsed our recommendation this evening for just doing the yard services program versus the minor home repair.
Right.
Yeah, and that is, the yard services is the program that is most utilized. And I know I'm going to get ahead of myself, but it is something that I would like to think about matching in future budget cycles. But the minor home repair is utilized, just not as frequently.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yeah, probably not registering with me, but why are we not requesting the additional amount? We just don't have projects?
We don't
ready
really have the
to
projects.
serve up?
Yep, and, you know.
We'd be competing,
Yeah.
our little $10,000 project is now no longer guaranteed. It's part of a competitive RFP process with all Oakland County municipalities. So if City of Pontiac has a project, for example, that scores high, it might, we can't make a guarantee with it anymore like we used to. It's we'd have to figure out what a shovel-ready project would be that would be deemed competitive enough by Oakland County to actually be awarded to us, keeping in mind all the other projects that all the other municipalities in Oakland County could submit.
So it's more of a traditional grant process where it's competitive, which I get, but
Correct.
the real reason is we don't have any defined projects today. What is the, cutoff date for the application?
There's a hard deadline of December 4th.
So 1 month from today, and we don't anticipate we would identify any projects within the community that would be necessary?
No, not that would meet their parameters. I mean, we're competing, it still has to be a public benefit, it couldn't be we'd have to, there are so many parameters that we need to find the project, we need to find the project to meet all of these parameters. I don't believe that there's
Okay.
sufficient time.
And next year we'll start in August and evaluate, so by
Next year, we can even start thinking about these projects now for next year, right? I don't anticipate, because, some of the projects, like the one they kept throwing out, and I hate to say it, but they're like, what about sidewalks? I'm like, we got our own sidewalk program going, right? But if you think to everything that went into getting that sidewalk program ready to go, that's way more work than can ever be done in a month,
Yeah.
right? But if that's something that we want to think about trying to secure funds for next year, we can do that, and we can plan for that now.
And we're not, in this competitive process, then limited to $10,000 in an ask?
No, we could ask for whatever we want. I think the overall allocation is like $1.2 million, though, so we're really not going to get a ton, right? But yes.
Depending on how they prioritize.
Right.
If they decide to pick 5 projects, then,
Right.
I doubt they'll do that. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions?
So I just want to make sure I understand, Ms. Steck, when you're talking about they're looking for projects of higher impact, so we're no longer targeting homeowner projects, it sounds like, right? So this is not, we have a list of residents that need insulation, or we need something, right? This is community projects now?
Yes, for the competitive bid
Okay.
process, yes.
Okay, so I think that's the difference, right? But those projects still have to be based on an income qualification? That's the part I'm not sure I understand, like how are we proposing a community project?
Has to be, so for like the example of sidewalks, right? That is a community-wide benefit, right? That will, and the way CDBG generally looks at community-wide benefits is that it will positively impact those that are income qualified, right? Even if you don't have qualifying census tracts, there is that community area-wide benefit.
Okay.
We could still say, if we had like a list of 24 income qualified seniors that had, a list of home projects, I mean, we could certainly say, we would like $200,000 for the minor home repair, and we could go in there and we could make some pretty big changes. And that was something, when I first met with Next, that was one of the questions I asked them, like, what kind of backlog do we have? What kind of projects are people requesting funding for or support for? And there just isn't that kind of level of request from our seniors, from our eligible seniors. So we have to look at it as, can we continue to target those income eligible seniors for those specific kinds of things, or is it a larger area-wide benefit that we need to try and identify and find that shovel-ready project for?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Abud?
Thank you, Mr. George. When you say shovel-ready, and if I'm understanding community development, the whole objective is the community is going to benefit from it. Hypothetical, let's just say we tore the house on Wenbrook and we want to build a new pavilion. We get all the plans together. Will we be able to borrow money or get some funding for a community development project over there? If it's shovel-ready?
Potentially, I'd have to obviously look at whatever those criteria are, but yes, we would have to have already done all the planning for it, all of the design, all the engineering, so yes, theoretically.
And I think, honestly, there's communities where, the more likely benefit would be if you said, okay, we're going to make it a heating and cooling facility, so that if there are people in the winter without power, in the summer when the heat spikes, and we need a new HVAC system for the buildings so that we can use it for that benefit for the community. But I think about Hazel Park, I believe, did a community center building where they received some funding. So you're going to be competing with municipalities that have some fairly specific projects to benefit communities that are, that have a fairly wide band of people that qualify. So it's not to say we can't come up with it. I agree that a month is aggressive. A lot of these, if you could circulate to council just the kind of criteria so that we can understand better what that is, that might be helpful as we think about how to approach it thoughtfully for the next cycle. I do know that in past, when we've had these conversations, one of the constraining factors was that there was, $10,000-ish, $11,000 that went towards the minor home repair, $3,500 that went towards the outdoor services, and there was a greater need for the outdoor services than the minor home repair. There was always, Next was looking for more funds for that. So even if, understanding we have passed our budget for this year, if there's a way during the conversation where there is a greater need and we think this is an opportunity to kind of, allocate some funding towards that, I'd be fine having that discussion if the majority of council supported that. I also want to make sure we remember that in years past, another request for that funding came from Haven, which is something that our community utilizes. And so if we can somehow in a future meeting consider making a like donation to Haven as we've done in past years, I would appreciate us being able to consider that. Yes, sir. We'll go down the sirs. Sorry.
Just kind of following on Ms. Kescometti's question from an individual homeowner perspective, if we decided something like sewer check valves, backup check valves in the combined sewer district applicable to qualifying seniors, would that be the type of project that would be considered? Is that, I mean, I don't know the criteria. I'm just curious if what kinds of projects would be eligible.
I mean, I don't have enough of their criteria in my head to be able to answer,
Okay.
to like get that granular. But I mean, I think sending out the criteria that they've provided, and I mean, we're in, this, because they've only rolled this out in August, I mean, we as in communities, and we've been some really loud, unhappy people in these meetings trying to find, what are your criteria? Like, how are you going to choose these projects? What are your priorities, right? Like, how can we best prepare applications that are going to hit your targets without, and benefit our residents, right? So part of that, I think, is a moving target. I mean, I'll say maybe, right? But I think more, the county is going to need to do a lot more refinement and better communication to the rest of us as they continue to roll this out. But I'll send the criteria out that they've shared with us most recently.
And I would add real quick, because I think it's helpful context, that again, and from the village's perspective, this is basically a pass-through. We receive money in and we are allowed to, we work with Next, who actually administers the program, sets kind of more of what qualifies as a specific item. We're not doing the management of the day-to-day funds and guidelines, so that's why we can't necessarily answer all the questions right here, because we largely are just a pass-through entity in this, and Next is the one who administers. Yes.
Historically, yeah, no, understood. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Let's not change that.
Mr. Mercer.
Thank you, President George. So I think we're all looking for just some other information, and it sounds like you'll get that to us, but I just want to understand, these are funds given to Oakland County to distribute from federal funds?
Correct.
It's about $1.2 million a year that in this bucket that Oakland County gets, and they're distributing. Last year, we got about a little over $14,000. Mm-hmm. And you're saying that this year, we could ask for more and compete for that, or we're guaranteed to get 15% of something, and that's $3,500?
Correct.
So this year, 15% of $3,500 is 15% of about $23,500, right?
About right, yeah.
So is that just because they've changed it this year to the 15%? And what's $23,000 of what? I don't.
Of the total allocation so it's 15% of the total allocation from the federal government can be used for those public services funds. That
15,000 of the 1.2, and then they're distributing.
And then
Yeah, 15% of the 1.2, so there's 180,000 to spread across Oakland County, and we get $3,500 bucks of that.
That's what I'm trying to figure out where the
Our percentage went up, because last year we were at 1.2% of the total. This year we're at 2% of the 15%, so.
Right, that's
so we can get the 3,500 and compete for additional, we just don't have. There are, if you think about what we did a week ago or 2 weeks ago, last meeting, where we approved working with HRC to develop the engineering for water projects. So if we were going to say that the engineering we did for the other portion of the looping, we just did the Pierce, which is the east side of that water project. We just approved the engineering expense to make the plans for the west side of that. And if we said, hey, we'd like $50,000 towards, we're asking our congressional representative to put us in for funds for that project, and we'd like $50,000 towards water service, because in that block of houses we have X number of people, or we want to do 5 reconnections that are going to cost $12,000 a piece, whatever. But we're probably competing against municipalities that have a plan. I think about Ferndale and some of the work they've done on, they have a building that they're working to renovate, and so they already know what they want to do. We don't have that project identified yet. So if we can do it and make the plans, then next year I think it'll be easier. I just think, and I get it, they don't probably know what their targets are. They're just changing it based on the financial landscape shifting around them, and so this year is going to be kind of the Wild West. Next year they might have more defined guidance on what they're looking for.
Right, but we have to show, if we're asking for more funds, how that qualifies for the people that are, that it's going to be used for people that are low income or qualify for that
Yes,
portion of that project. So we have to.
They will benefit from it.
There's a lot more, okay, a lot more work to do. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, public hearing? Okay, so I would like to, at 7:32 PM, open the public hearing to take comments, questions as they relate to the 2026 fiscal year community development block grant funding application. So anyone in the online community of two people who I think are both in this room, or in the vast in-person audience, if you have any questions about this. I'll keep talking for 1 minute so we can have the public hearing last a minute if no one has any questions. Yes, sir. Thank you.
My name is Patrick Vergelt from Arlington Drive. Been here since 1998, most of my life, and I've marched in the Memorial Day Parade as a high school marching band student, as well as a scout in Troop 1029, which was in OLQM Church. I'm not up to date at the moment.
Yeah.
But one question I have towards this funding is, could this be towards a History of Beverly Hills 250th anniversary of the country thing that could be meant towards just how to tell the story of Beverly Hills, the history of it, and have it accessible towards everyone, because I remember in Birmingham Public Schools District that the history of Beverly Hills was more broadly the history of Michigan.
Yeah.
So just kind of a way to learn the history of Beverly Hills for the public, maybe coincidentally coinciding with the history of the 250th year of this country. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Outstanding question. I have no answers. We'll see if Mrs. Steck has an answer to that. I don't know that we'll have an answer by the time this funding cycle. I like where your head's at. We've got somebody here who holds a lot of the history of the community that I think would love to figure out a way to showcase it. Ms. Steck, as you're researching this, I'd love to figure out if we can figure out the tie-in. I'm all for great ideas, but
I don't think that, I'm gonna guess no. I was hoping I brought some extra stuff from the last meeting, hoping it had some good notes. I don't think so, but I like the idea, so I'll keep exploring it.
I know the senior citizens might have history that they might want to share.
It's more of like a storyteller kind of deal, right? Or StoryCorps.
To, how to safely pass it on with, maybe a project.
Well, even if CDBG doesn't fund that kind of cool work, maybe our future TDA can.
there you go.
So.
Get StoryCorps out here.
I like StoryCorps.
All right. Any other questions? If not, we'll close the public hearing at 7:36 PM. Any other questions, comments from council before we ask for a resolution? If not, Mr. Mercer, do you have a resolution on this one?
I do, President George. Whereas the Village of Beverly Hills found that the following projects meet the federal objectives for the Community Development Block Grant Program, hereby known as CDBG, and are prioritized by the community as high priority need. Account number 172160-732170, project name Public Services Yard Services, in the amount of $3,500. Be it resolved that the Village of Beverly Hills Community Development Block Grant application is hereby authorized to be submitted to Oakland County for the inclusion in Oakland County's annual action plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and that the council president or his designee is hereby authorized to execute all documents, agreements, or contracts which result from this application to Oakland County.
Support. Support for Mr. Aboud. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rojusco?
Yes.
Ms. Kescometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud? Yes. Motion passed.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Steck.
Thank you.
On to number 3 on the business agenda, second reading of ordinance number 393. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, at the last village council meeting, we had our first reading of ordinance 393, which is a zoning ordinance amendment, so there was a public hearing before the planning commission. They voted to recommend the village council adopt this ordinance. It is adding a section to the zoning ordinance related to the regulation of mechanical units, air conditioner condensers, generators, or other noise-producing mechanical system. Again, the intention of this is to, as we added in the language you can see highlighted, this is to regulate permanent ground-mounted mechanical units. We're not in the business of policing generators or other types of things that pop up during power outages. Just again, this is just really permanent improvements to a property. So we added that language, and we also tweaked the hours of operation for testing to make it or less restrictive for the residents, and it mirrors our regulations that we have for construction noises within the village. Happy to answer any other questions. Ms. Steck, too, shepherded this through the planning commission process, and she's also available as well. But at this time, we could have a second reading and consider adopting, should the council so choose.
All right. Questions, comments? Mr. Aboud.
So, just to get a better understanding here, so if your current unit, condenser and/or generator or whatever you have in the side yard, it's already grandfathered in, right? Something happens to it and you want to replace it, then can it still go on the side, or does it have to go in the back?
As long as you are not expanding the unit.
What do you say?
Oh, put it up, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Testing, all right.
As long as you are making repairs to the existing mechanical equipment, you are not expanding it, making it larger, anything like that, then yes, it can remain on the side. If your unit breaks and you're like, all right, now is the time to get a much larger piece of equipment that can handle, my new addition, my, whatever else it is.
It's a bunch of kilowatts.
Then it has to go in the rear yard, or it can be in the side yard as long as the side yard is in excess of the required setback.
Okay, the 5 feet, whatever.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions, comments?
And we're going to stick with the 70 instead of the 65 like everybody else? Asking for everybody here.
You said like everybody else, so I'm not.
I think they said most other municipalities do 65. They upped it to 70.
Correct. Yep. Most of the iterations of this draft had a decibel level of 65. And at their meeting in August, Planning Commission elected to bump that up to, or September, I'm sorry, bump that up to 70 to accommodate the larger units that our residents may be seeking, since we tend to have larger homes.
May I, sir?
Yes.
So, can you give me an idea what 70 decibels sounds like, aside from a condenser, or is it like a horn? Is it
Let's see. Did we have our good example?
I'm sorry.
Would you like me to approximate it? No, I'm just kidding. Can't
I
do
mean,
that.
I bet I could grab our decibel meter and I
just
could,
Googled it, and it says vacuum cleaner, noisy office environment. Let's see.
I mean, I'm probably at like 60 decibels right now,
Okay. So.
right? Like,
so-
and I'm not being
Alarm
flippant,
clock,
really, truly, I'm not.
Coffee grinder, washing
You
machine,
guys can laugh,
TV.
laugh. It's funny.
And I guess the point I'm just trying to make, is there a big difference between 65 and 70?
Yes.
There is, and the thing that I guess I'm looking at is when I Google, quietest AC residential condenser units, and I find a website that immediately has 5 that are all below 60, a Lennox, a
can always
Carrier,
add
a
a
York, a
muffler.
Trane, a Bryant.
Right.
We've got 5 that are below 60, so I get that probably causes the unit to be more expensive, but you are less likely to have it be loud if it's not near the property line. So if you
Right.
want to get a louder one, you can put it in your backyard versus at the property line. So I have no problem if anyone is concerned and would like to make that switch.
Just for background, I think the reason that was suggested was somebody was looking up generator ambient noise associated with the silencers that they put on them, not necessarily a wall around them, and I think there were generators that would generate 70 kilowatt, or 70 decibels, excuse me. So I think that was why they were pushing for the increase in the value. I think they actually proposed something higher than 70, but then it settled on 70 based
Yes.
on,
I think they
EPA
were
says
like-
there's no permanent damage to hearing for a consistent exposure to 70 decibels.
I would add that doesn't really matter how noisy the machine is, it's how does it register when measured at the point of the property line? Just
Yeah.
want to clarify that too. You can buy a machine that could be louder than
Right.
70, but as long as from an enforcement standpoint, we know we can't enter onto someone else's property without a warrant, we can only measure from the property line, what are we seeing? So as far as when you think of the enforceability of this provision, that's what we're looking at. We're not saying you can't buy a louder machine, it's just, it has to be done in a way that, it can't be heard at this level from this point.
From the distance.
And again, we're measuring this when we're permitting it, I would assume, right? As a component of the permit to install it, you're having to get it inspected before we put the sticker on it. So as long as we're doing that at the property line and have the teeth of saying this is too loud, it needs to be moved, or you need to get a quieter one, which I know that's the uncomfortable conversation when people are buying things and installing them with no idea how loud they are. I'm at peace with it as long as we're sure that our inspectors are holding firm on that.
They would have other options too. They could try to muffle it or shield it.
Yeah.
And there are other options they could do at that
sure.
time, other than just as long as they could get it below 70 decibels at the property line measurement.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. George. Maybe not to belabor the point, but let me just ask a question on this. Are we actually inspecting them and measuring noise, or we just go off of manufacturer specification? I mean, you submit a permit for a new AC unit, you say this manufacturer says that it's 68 decibels, and we rely on that?
We are relying on the manufacturer specs, but right now, we actually don't have anything about
This is a new
decibel
law,
levels,
so we don't
right?
do any of this now.
No, we're not currently measuring decibel
Right.
levels. So technically, someone could have a unit that produces 80 decibels higher at the property line, right? So that's a reasoning for drafting this ordinance language, is so that we can have some amount of control on that and how it impacts our community. But we will, I mean, we do have a decibel meter, right? We can go out and take those readings now.
Okay, so just a couple follow-up questions, so I understand. So this will apply not only to newly installed, but if we have this on the books and somebody has a rickety, old, super noisy condenser unit, and the neighbor calls and complains, this is a way that we can enforce a noise ordinance on an existing piece of equipment, or this only applies to new installation?
I see no reason why it wouldn't apply, but, I mean, village attorney, what say you, please?
Yeah, if it's measured appropriately and it's too loud, I mean, they wouldn't issue a ticket right away, but they'd ask them to look at
Correct
the
it.
machine and see if they can do something with it.
But it is applicable
It could
to
be,
all
yes.
existing equipment. It's part of our noise ordinance, and it is applicable, is what we're saying, right? Okay. And then just to clarify something, Mr. George, that you said, Ms. Tech, it's not just in the side yard that it has to meet the 70, it's not, but it's putting it in the backyard would be a way of meeting it at the property line.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
reading, somebody's asking online the question of how loud are generators, and someone says, my 20 kilowatt Kohler generator registers 91 decibels at the exhaust and 70 decibels 25 feet away. So if it's 90 at the exhaust and 70, 25 feet away, 5 feet from the property line, you're not going to be under 70.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
if you want to put it in the middle of your backyard to get to 70,
More power to
go for it.
Okay.
If we are strict in the enforcement of existing equipment, that will probably cause some heartburn, because, if people say, you just passed this and my neighbor's thing has been loud forever,
Yeah, I don't know how we do that to people that, have had.
that's
There's
my
no
point.
Law is law.
Questions, comments? Mr. White, you want to step to the podium and say something? Provide some,
While Mr.
knowledge.
White makes his way to the podium, I'll just say, I like the inclusion of Saturday. On behalf of Mr. White.
Yeah, I like the Saturday thing, too. I have...
we need your name and your street, sir.
Oh, Michael White, Vernon Drive.
Thank you.
I purchased a small meter from Amazon and measured my generator at 54 decibels at the property line. The only thing I would change is I would eliminate the as determined by manufacturer specifications, because the generator specifications that I read were not very good at predicting. Some of them had a distance that it was measured at, and many of the smaller generators that are sold at Home Depot they do have a distance, and theirs is 65 decibels at 23 feet.
Right.
And if you have a 5-foot property line away, you will probably be up in the 70s if you put a generator like that in, unless you have a neighbor who's willing to engineer a sound hood for you, you'll be illegal.
You'd be illegal if you put it on the side yard. If you put it smack dab in the middle of your backyard, you might not be. And that's the challenge. Do you know how far you were from the property line when you measured?
I was right at the property line.
From your generator.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. How far is your
Probably-
generator from the property line?
Let's see,
More
30,
than 5 feet.
40 feet. probably.
Yeah, so,
So it is a large generator, and it's a quiet generator if you look at the specs, which surprised me.
Yeah.
The smaller generators, which are less expensive, are much louder. I would also say my generator is very unreliable, so I have a backup generator also.
You have a backup for the generator?
Yeah.
Backup for the backup.
And my truck will also put out 110 volts. So I have a backup for the backup.
I know, we'll be at your house next time.
All right.
Anyway, that's my comment.
All right.
I would get rid of the as determined by manufacturer's specifications, because it's sort of redundant. Because if they're actually going to measure it with a meter.
Yeah.
And the meters are cheap. So,
I mean, the village has a meter. My biggest concern at this point is figuring out how this affects existing equipment. I don't know what to do with that, so thank you.
yeah.
You're-
This should chase all the small generators out of the side yard and into the back.
But this is,
Yeah.
so, thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, but this says permanently ground-mounted mechanical units, i.e., and so that immediately made me think, well, what if someone wanted to put an air compressor. I want an automotive, tire repair shop air compressor in the middle of my backyard. But again, I guess if it's in the middle of your backyard and it's quiet at the property line, that's the point. I'm still just concerned about what this will do to existing equipment. I have no problem telling people that you have to either buy a quiet unit or put it far enough away from the property line that it meets the noise specifications, but all of the existing equipment is a challenge, and I don't know what to do with that. So if anyone has any ideas, I'm all ears. Yes?
Two things. I would say I appreciate Mr. White's comment, and I agree with it, because I think it's contrary to what we were talking about, right? I mean,
Right.
You can say that something was, this was the manufacturer's specification, and then it was stalled, and several years later, maybe because of lack of maintenance or whatever reasons, maybe it's no longer operating at manufacturer specifications. And so I do think it would be appropriate to just say the unit shall not exceed 70 decibels when measured at the nearest point of the property line, period. To your point, Mr. George, I think we're covered by the approach that Mr. Ryan specified, right? And this is with anything, right? Any ordinance change we would make. If you have an existing condition that doesn't meet these specifications, and there's, we probably don't need to go out looking for all of them, but if there's a complaint, if there's some sort of nuisance, and it's confirmed, then that homeowner's offered the opportunity to correct it, either through shielding or Mr. White engineering them a dome or something, right? I mean, there are options, right? Short of moving it to your backyard, there are muffler options and other things that can be done. So, I don't think it's unreasonable to apply this. I mean, as long as, Mr. Ryan, you're saying that we're not precluded from applying it to existing equipment.
No, because the noise ordinance, that's the location of the accessory structure, that's a zoning issue, right? Okay, but if the instrument itself or if the building itself is in violation of the noise ordinance, if it's too loud, then that's a different thing and it has to be resolved. They'll have to do something, either muffle it, or as you said, or screen it, or put a smaller one in.
Okay.
To your point, Ms. Cuscommittee, I do believe that since at this point, most of the mechanical units in the side yard were signed off by a neighbor, right? So most likely at this point, our chance of complaint from a current one is possibly a little bit less because they agreed to have it put there. So it might be a situation of a new neighbor or something like that didn't agree to it. But, I would hope that in most cases, neighbors have already had this conversation and understand, and hopefully we just don't ever lose power, that we don't have to hear these generators. Right?
Let's not get me started again.
Other questions, comments? I don't know how anyone feels about striking. Again, yes, I don't disagree. The manufacturer's specifications, where they're measuring it or not. Regardless of what the manufacturer specs, if you have a bearing on your fan that is failing, it's going to be louder. So we're either.
Yeah, I feel like I would actually be open. I mean, the manufacturer can have all sorts of specifications. It says my car's supposed to run at 35 miles a gallon and I get 26. So
Right.
I feel like we should go by what's actually happening in the real world versus what is happening in the perfect. So I will move to, I will move closer to the mic, and then I will move to strike as determined by manufacturer specifications in, item 3 of section 46-70J.
I support that.
All right. So we have a motion on the table to strike the as determined by manufacturer specifications with support. Do we need to call roll on that, or are we good with?
You can do a voice vote on that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Any other requested changes? We could move to a second reading. Anything else anyone has concern with? If not, could we please have a second reading?
Sure. So this will be ordinance number 393, an ordinance to amend Chapter 46 which is a zoning ordinance of the Village of Beverly Hills, Section 170- accessory building structures and uses in residential zone districts of the Village Municipal Code, and the Village ordains Section 101, that Section 170 accessory building structures and uses in residential zone districts be amended to add, this is a new section, Section J, close paren, mechanical units, I-I4, close paren, to read as follows. Then new section 46-170 would read that it has permanent ground-mounted mechanical units, i.e. AC condensers, generators, or other noise-producing mechanical system located in the yard of a residential unit may be located as follows. I, within a rear yard, provided that the unit is located at least 5 feet from the adjoining lot lines and not more than 5 feet from the principal building. I, within the side yard, which is in excess of the required side yard setback and not more than 5 feet from the principal building. The noise generated by such unit shall not exceed 70 dBA when measured from the nearest point at the property line, period. Testing or maintenance of the generator shall only be permitted between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Then IV, properties with existing mechanical equipment located in the side yard may be repaired or replaced in the same location. Expansion or relocation of the mechanical equipment shall be subject to the provisions of this section. Section 201 is a severability clause, 301 is a savings clause, and 401 is an effective date, which states a public hearing having been held by the Planning Commission on September 24th, 2025. The provision of this ordinance shall take effect upon its publication in a newspaper circulated within the village, made and passed this day, if council approves.
Questions, comments?
Just,
Yes, sir.
and I guess I should have done that before the second reading, which I don't think is a problem moving forward, but everything that I've been looking at shows a daytime decibel and a nighttime decibel that gets lower within 5 dBA. So I don't know if that's relevant to our
Do that.
ordinance or not.
I'd have a hard time with it with a generator.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no way to have a daytime and nighttime generator.
I was just reading,
yeah.
like if I were to buy one,
Right.
everything
Well-
is telling me daytime is X amount and nighttime is less. So I don't know what happens with the generator when it goes from day to night. I mean, is it, nobody's running, I mean, I don't know. Just something.
Tracy knows.
Time of
Is it
day.
the generators at nights? What?
5 decibel differences.
Right. I am at peace with us disposing of this tonight and researching that, and we can make an amendment if necessary, but,
Yeah.
you know, I'm at peace with moving forward just because I know planning has looked at this and made the recommendation based on their research, so my 2 cents. Any other questions, comments?
No.
No.
If not, Mr. O'Gorman, do you have a,
Would this be a resolution, Mr. Ryan?
It could be, yes, sir, yep.
Okay. Be it resolved, the Village Council of the Village of Beverly Hills adopt the proposed zoning ordinance amendments for accessory mechanical units as presented.
Support.
support from Ms. Rajewsko? Ms. Brown, would you call the roll?
Ms. Rajewsko?
Yes.
Ms. Kescometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abud?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a great night.
You can stick around
But I'm not gonna.
or enjoy your evening. Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening. On to number 4 on the business agenda, which is the first reading of ordinance number 394. Mr. Ruth.
Yes, we have another ordinance today, and for the first time in my tenure here, Ms. Steck will not be presenting it. Instead, we have Public Safety Director, or should I say Coach Campbell, with us today, if anybody's...
I shaved the goatee off, so you're stuck with me. And I operated a solid 85 to 90 decibels, so you might have to plug.
Well, And after last Sunday's performance, you don't want to.
Yeah, no, it should be maybe a bag or something like that.
Stay away from
Do
that.
everyone a favor.
Again, before he gets started, we got ordinance revisions here. It's new code, but it's interspersed with an existing chapter of the code. It's rather technical. I'll turn it over to Director Arnold for further review.
Good evening, members of the council. I am here today to propose some changes to our fire code. On August 28th, Ms. Steck and Lieutenant Rob Ginther met in regards to a concern of a fire pit that was at a condominium complex on Lasser Road, just south of 14 Mile Road, which led to a discussion that turned up the fact that our codes had not been updated since almost 1996, and some of them were out of compliance with industry standards and recommendations from NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association. So with that being said, some proposals have been made specifically to our ordinance about open burning as related to ground fires. Ground fires in our code is an allowable activity, whereas open burning is not. They almost cross over one another. If you have a ground fire, you are technically open burning, and the ground fire code said for warmth, ceremonial purposes, or the warming of food for human consumption, whereas open burning prohibited any open burning whatsoever, specifically in the areas of waste, trash, or leaves, things of that nature. And it also had requirements for how you could store the ashes once the open burning, if you did open burn, which is prohibited, but there was a storage requirement for the ashes when they could be placed out, how far they needed to be away from structures that could potentially be combustible if those coals or ashes were still warm. So the proposal that was made through Mrs. Steck and Lieutenant Ginther was that we amend the ground fire ordinance as a means of an outdoor fire for the purpose of viewing or warming or utilized to cook food for human consumption or ceremonial purposes, which burns only seasoned dry firewood, commercially available charcoal briquettes intended to minimize the generation of air contaminants. With that being said, we also have a code in respect to the, if the ground fire becomes obnoxious in the sense of excessive smoke or smell or contaminants in the air, or due to the environmental concerns of such, if there were a prohibited burn due to dry conditions during the summertime, a fire official, which would be anyone that works for the Public Safety Department, could order that ground fire to be extinguished. With our open burn ordinance, the amendment would be the open burning that is offensive or objectionable, as I spoke to, we could order that to be extinguished. But the open burn proposed ordinance, and I'll read it verbatim, is no person shall place or cause to be placed any ashes, clinkers, smoldering coals or embers, or similar residue from any heating appliance in any other than a metal or non-flammable container, nor shall such ashes be piled against any combustible wall or partition or any combustible floor, provided, however, the dead ashes may be placed in paper cartons or boxes when placed out of doors at the rear of the premise to await the pickup of such ashes or other debris. When such ashes are placed out of the doors and containers as herein specified, such containers shall be placed at least 3 feet away from any wooden wall, fence, building, or commercial combustible material. No person shall start or cause any fire to occur larger than a ground fire as outlined in section 18.6-4, which I spoke of the ground fires, but specifically in 18.6-4, it restricts it cannot be within 50 feet of a structure or combustible material unless the fire is contained in a barbecue pit or outdoor fireplace that was designed for such purposes. Conditions which should cause the fire to spread within 50 feet of a structure shall be eliminated prior to ignition, be the minimum size for intended purpose, but not larger than 3 feet in diameter, 2 feet in height, and shall be contained in a safe manner with non-combustible materials. So those are the two amendments to the open burn and ground fire ordinances, which we believe would bring our village up to the industry standards of SOFA, which is the South Oakland Fire Associations. It's our mutual aid partners, as well as NFPA. Any questions?
Yes.
I do have a few questions, just because I feel like this is going to be a huge change for a lot of residents in the village, and I want to make sure that we all understand and they understand. Can you explain the difference between, like, I want to find that, outdoor fireplace versus, like, is that like an enclosed fireplace versus, I think a lot of people have like a fire pit, right? And I want to know, does that count as an outdoor fireplace, or is that a ground burn with, I want to make sure that people understand how things are going to have to be moved in yards.
Yes, I think it is outlined in the ground fires where it says combustible materials unless the fire is contained in a barbecue pit or outdoor fireplace that was designed for such a purpose. I believe that would fall within the parameters of the outdoor fireplace, albeit a fire pit.
Okay.
But I would defer that to Mr. Ryan for any clarifications.
Okay. I just want to make sure it didn't have to be like covered over the top in order to be considered a fireplace or something.
No, it would not.
Okay.
No.
I think technically speaking, the way our code is currently worded, whatever the fire thing we have at Beverly Park is technically we're violating our own ordinance.
Right.
So this is really just cleaning that situation up.
will that affect us being able, what will happen with 50 feet is a lot, that's going
But
to
it
take.
says unless the fire's contained in an outdoor fireplace.
50
Okay.
feet unless it's contained in a
Okay.
structure designed for that purpose.
Okay.
Which it would be.
So if I could, so just to clarify,
Right.
my solo stove that is not 50 feet away from my house, but is a safe distance away from my vinyl siding, does not have to be 50
Okay.
feet, right? Because that's what it's designed
It's in a structure
for.
designed for that purpose.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes,
as
ma'am.
long as you're contained, you can be
But if,
less
yeah.
than.
But if you have
Okay.
the thing where it's just some rocks on the ground with your chairs around it,
Right.
that needs to be.
Be within
more than-
50 feet.
Because so
Any
your
combustible.
yard doesn't spread and
Gotcha.
catch your house on
Correct.
fire, right?
Or your neighbors.
Or your neighbors.
Thank you.
Right, okay.
Mr. Abud.
Thank you, Mr. George. So, let's just fire pit. So, because I thought our ordinance said, I know a neighbor was looking at a fire pit, it had to be 25 feet away from the house. That's a fire pit. And now, are we saying the fire pit has to be 50 feet, or if you're,
I would say it says 50 feet of a structure or combustible material unless the fire is contained in a barbecue pit or outdoor fireplace that was designed for such purpose. So I believe that would meet the standards if you had a fire pit and not just a ground fire. If you had a fire pit, I believe that meets the specifications for being an outdoor fireplace that would be 50 feet, that it's contained in that structure, so it would be okay. But again, I would defer that to Mr. Ryan for
I'd say
the,
that's a fair
Fair assumption?
interpretation. Yeah, fair interpretation.
yes. So an intended fire pit that you dug out and
Right.
made, designed for that purpose would be fine. If you just grabbed a shovel and scraped away some grass and threw some wood down and lit it on fire, you would be in violation if that structure was inside
Got it.
50 feet.
got it?
Mr. Gorman.
I'm fine with all of this, except there's one I'd like to maybe modify, and that's in the ground fire description, which burns only seasoned dry firewood or commercially available charcoal briquettes, right? So people burn things that they find in their backyard, sticks, pine cones, right, to start a fire, even use that for keeping the fire going. So if we're saying you must now purchase firewood or season the firewood, I'm not sure that that is going to be easily kind of contained by people. Like, I know I have firewood in my backyard, I can't say that it's dry or seasoned. It's whatever we have back there we use for a fire pit, and I think most residents are like that. If you had a tree cut down recently, you pile it up, you start burning it, not seasoned or dry potentially, so I understand you don't want to throw pine branches on that create a whole bunch of smoke and cinders, but at the same time, I think we might want to consider how to phrase that so it captures the intent without being so constrictive that somebody could be in trouble for not using seasoned dry firewood.
Understood. And I think the intent was if you, seasoned firewood, I don't think it's meant to be confused with having to go and buy firewood. I think branches and sticks that are dried and able to burn versus a limb that was freshly cut 6 hours beforehand. If you put that onto a fire, it's going to produce an excessive amount of smoke. Your fire most likely won't even burn, and then we could get into the obnoxiousness of the open burning with the excessive smoke, which then would cause us to potentially shut that fire down if a complaint was made. So I think the intent is the seasoned fire firewood is dry enough where it burns without any excessive smoke being produced.
So I think something like that would make sense as opposed to the description, because as you mentioned in the open fires,
Yes, sir.
it does cover smoke, smell, things like that. So
Yes, sir.
theoretically, we already covered that, so then redefining it as season dry might be redundant. So if we want to, it's just a suggestion, because I know this is, to me, it's a little bit restrictive and probably not consistent with the way people use their fire pits today.
Yes,
right?
sir.
As far as like, I think most of my neighbors say, kids, go grab some sticks so we can start a fire, right? So
right.
it's, but I understand the intent. If it smells, smoke, even excessive cinders, floating into the air, I totally get that. So I just wanted to consider a different wording if there's no objection to that.
I think we could do that for our second reading. We'll look into it.
Yeah, no, this is just a suggestion.
Maybe
for now.
even just as simple as just changing it to green or wet wood, is prohibited from being burned, and just, because people may not even, honestly, people may not understand what it is to have seasoned.
Yeah, it sounds like a very technical term, like somebody
Right,
went out
like
there and
so- like-
seasoned it
yeah,
prior
like
to you
it's kiln
purchasing it.
dry.
I just think
Like,
it means
yeah.
it's dry enough to burn.
been around
without
for a
any
season,
excessive smoke.
Right. People are like, what's that? If you just say like,
Right.
wet or green wood shouldn't be burned, then they'll go, oh, okay, right.
Sure.
So, trust Mr. Rothy will
Make an adjustment.
wordsmith if necessary for the second reading. A lot of discussion around the key boxes, Knox box, so that is specific to commercial buildings, so that public safety has a way to get into buildings if there is any sort of fire, correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
Not requiring anyone with an outdoor fire pit to have a key to their house?
No, sir. It's
making sure.
specific to commercial
sure.
buildings. And key box, Knox box, it's
Yeah.
just a industry standard of word, it's verbiage.
Go ahead, Mr.
I did have one question on that. I just wanted to, just because I'm looking into it, wood-burning stoves, I'm assuming do not qualify under this ordinance. Those would be separate indoor heating devices or something along those lines?
I would defer that to Mr. Ryan, but it
Applicable.
seems like if it's designed for that purpose, it seems like it would fall under the ordinance, but I believe that it would also have to be deferred to Mr. Ryan for
I
the.
just wanted to make sure if I move forward to a wood-burning stove, I don't have to have a key box and
Oh, no,
all
sir.
the
No,
rules
sir.
around this. so
No.
that
You're not
firemen can
commercial.
get
No,
in
you would
while I'm
not,
heating my
just for
house.
commercial buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, the ordinance specifically says key box is not required for any building that the Michigan Residential
Okay,
Construction
perfect.
Code applies to.
Yeah.
So nobody has to give us keys to your house.
That's good, yeah. Thanks.
Especially when you got a $2,000 door, you don't want to knock that door down, just get the lock in.
We've got a key to open that door up.
Yeah.
It's about this big.
Ms. Cascometti?
At the risk of getting into the weeds too deeply here, Mr. Rothy, could you take a look at Section 18-6.1, open burning? Do you think that requires ashes to be sent off-site for disposal? Like, it talks about how you're supposed to manage them, right, like when they're awaiting disposal. Does anything preclude you from burying that on site or anything like that? I mean, I use them in my garden. It's reasonable use of that material.
Right.
I wouldn't think
Not when
so.
they're hot, not when they're hot.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you'd be precluded from that.
Okay, thank you.
Just going to say you can get into the weeds as long as they're not green weeds.
Right.
They have to be
Seasoned.
seasoned.
Right,
Seasoned
seasoned weeds
As long as you season the
and
weeds.
cooled ashes.
What is a clinker?
Clinker.
From coal,
Yeah.
It's like burned coal.
leftover from coal fire.
Other questions? Comments?
Just one comment, I will
Yes.
say. I do appreciate you guys taking a look at this. I think I've had a lot of residents ask, like, there's some confusion. I mean, solo stoves and backyard fire pits are very popular, right? And so I appreciate the effort to clear this up. Thank you.
No problem.
If no additional comments, questions, we could do a first reading, if everyone is agreeable to that. Mr. Ryan,
Thank you,
please.
Mr. President. Surely. So this is proposed ordinance 394, An ordinance to amend Chapter 18, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 1, General, and Article 2, Fire Code, and then Chapter 32, Solid Waste, Article 1, General, in the Municipal Code. Section 101, definitions are hereby added to the Fire Prevention and Protection Code. And these are just the six new definitions that are going to be added to the existing definitions that are already in the code. Section 201, it talks about Chapter 18, Article 1, Section 18-6.1 through Section 18-11.6 be added to amend the following language to read as follows, which Director Arnold discussed. Section 18-6.1, open burning, the new definition for that. Section 18-6.2, open burning prohibited, with that one perhaps change at the second reading for the last sentence of that section. Section 18-6.3, extinguishment authority has been alluded to that if there's a hazard, that it can be extinguished by the Public Safety Department or authorized agent. Section 18-6.4, ground fires, again, has been discussed by Director Arnold, what the purpose of that is. Then we move into the key box proposal, which is Knox box or key box for commercial buildings, Section 18.11-1.1. This updates the key box. It says what the purpose of a key box is. Section 18-11.2, key box requires, talks about that except for Michigan Residential Construction Code buildings, a key box is required. Section 18-11.3, key box location indicates where the proper locations are for the key box. That'll be worked with the Public Safety Department. Section 18-11.4, key box contents, that says what should be in the key box. And Section 18-11.5, key box compliance, that says all new or remodeled structures must comply with the requirements of this article prior to occupancy. Required approvals and specifications shall be obtained during the plan review process. So this is for new or remodeled structures. Section 18-11.6 is entitled Key Box Applications, which means there'll be an appropriate form for people to apply for such key box usage. Section 301 talks about, it's Chapter 18, Article 2, Fire Code Amendment. And this really is an updating of the fire code that we will not have to every year or every other year, that when it's updated, that we'll be allowed to use the most current form of the fire code. So we'll always be in sync with whatever the international program or the fire code is.
Yes, sir.
Without worrying about in the future doing it every year or so. Then Chapter 32, Solid Waste, Article 1. Is amended to read as follows, and that says 32-2, open burning prohibition, and that just mirrors the language previously indicated on Section 18-6.2 to sync that language together, so it's got the same definition to it for open burning prohibition. The Section 501 is severability, Section 601 is savings clause, 701 is a repealer of any conflicting ordinances, and effective date of Section 801 ordinance, if adopted, would take effect 20 days after final passage and publication by the village. So that would be a first reading, Mr. President.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Director Arnold, for the team's good work on that, Mr. Othie. So, second reading next time. I'm guessing our village manager took good notes on the things that people had concerns with, so if there are changes necessary, we're certainly open to that. Is that it? Anything else? All good. I appreciate this. This, if nothing else, highlights what we've been talking about, which is we move to Muni Code, and this is the kind of effort we need to update the, I'd call it dead wood, but you know, it's seasoned wood. There are lots of these things within our code that need updating, so I appreciate us getting to some of that it's time. Some of this, as we move along and as the national fire protection standards change, we should be looking at these things, so appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
All right. Anything else on that one? All right. Thank you, sir. Then you're standing right there, so we will move on to the last item on our business agenda, which is number 5, approved purchase of a detective bureau vehicle. Mr. Othie.
Yes, I'll do one sentence and I'll turn it over to the director. Director would like to purchase a car, and it is the village's first ever hybrid vehicle. So with that, I'll turn it over to him.
Yes, thank you again. On September 2025, Deputy Director Lee Davis submitted a memo to me respectfully requesting that we replace our one unmarked Detective Bureau vehicle, which is a 2011 Ford Taurus. So it's 14 years old, and while the mileage is low, it is aging out where industry standards, it's just not that reliable of a vehicle for a detective bureau. We wish to replace that with the 2025-2026 fiscal budget, and we would like to purchase a 2026 Ford Interceptor Hybrid. We went through MI Deals, and it listed Lunghammer Ford, located in Owasso, as the bidder of best choice for us, with a total bid of $49,541, which is under the line item budget for the Public Safety Department for that piece of equipment. We did elect the hybrid due to its being eco-friendly and more fuel efficient than the standard vehicles that we have, and I am requesting the purchase of a 2026 Ford Interceptor all-wheel drive utility hybrid, dark blue in color, for our Detective Bureau.
Questions? I had to look up what an Interceptor was. It's an Explorer.
SUV, yeah.
It's an
Small
Explorer.
SUV, somewhere between an Escape and an Explorer.
Really? I didn't know there was a different size. It looked like an Explorer.
So the 49 is the vehicle, but the 59 is that additional stuff, the lights and things like that you're taking to
Yes, sir.
Canfield?
Canfield equipment. would,
Just kind of want to make sure everybody understands that, that's all.
So it needs to be upfitted with emergency lights and sirens, radios, then some equipment needs to be transferred. That's done by Canfield Police Equipment, located in Warren. They are pretty much the standard company where every police agency takes their vehicles to. I've worked with them multiple times, and in all 3 agencies that I've worked with, customer service is fantastic with them, and they will outfit that vehicle with front lights, rear lights, side lights, and all the sirens that we need.
Other questions? This is in the budget we approved. Hey, I had a Taurus of that vintage, so I'm familiar.
You get another one, we can auction it off.
Yeah, I know. I will be interested to learn what we get for that. I know what the used car market's like. I do have a memory emblazoned in my brain. I have an automotive background, and I used to have a comic that I got somewhere where it was a guy at the parts counter holding whatever it was, and he said, I need everything but this for a 2011 Taurus. So I know that after 15 years, you start having to replace some things, and keeping a vehicle maintained, low mileage or not, is a challenge. So I get it, and I'd rather have a reliable vehicle that our force is using than not. So, other questions, concerns?
No.
Comments? If not, Mr. Aboud?
Thank you, Mr. George. Be it resolved, the Beverly Hills Village Council hereby approves the purchase of a replacement vehicle for the Detective Bureau from Lunghammer Ford, and further authorizes the equipment proposal from Canfield Equipment Services for a total combined amount of $59,537.18. Funds are available in account number 205-900-981- or .00. And that's it.
Support.
Support from Mrs. Cascometti. Ms. Brown, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Cascometti?
Yes.
Mr. Mercer?
Yes.
Mr. O'Gorman?
Yes.
Mr. Abul?
Yes.
Mr. Drummond?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Ms. Rojusco?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will pass along. I ran into a not to be named member of the force earlier, and he said, good choice on Ed. So
I paid him for that.
yeah, well, I just wanted to pass it along. It's good to hear. Good to hear. So I'm glad it seems like it's going well. So good to see code getting updated. And I don't want to stick around, so when Mr. Othie says nice things about one of his bullet points here in the manager's report, we can give you a thumbs up on that too.
the saves.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Last but not least.
We'll do that at the
We'll
manager
do that at the
report.
manager?
Yep,
Okay,
yeah, I was
very
going to
good.
call you
Yep.
up anyway.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. All
Thank you
right.
for the hybrid selection.
I know, we're so
Yeah.
excited.
Love that.
Yeah.
One step
The
closer
internal
to
office
elected.
lingo was the Cascametti mobile.
Yes. So there you go.
Hybrid's the way to go.
All right, on to next on the agenda is public comments. So anyone in chamber or online who would like to make a comment, now's your time. Hearing none, we'll move on to the manager's report. Mr. Rothy.
Sure, a few things this evening, and then we'll bring Director Arnold up for a few more. First and foremost, this Thursday, we're going to run it back here with village attorney interviews, special council meeting 7 o'clock. It will be live streamed. It will be open to the public. We have 3 firms we are interviewing. So again, that's 2 days from today. We want to welcome Officer Lawson as our new school resource officer. He recently took that position in early October, and he's already doing a great job. Next week, our auditors, Yo and Yo, will be on site to complete the field work for the audit. We are on track to submit it to the state before the deadline and present to the village council. Don't have a date yet for when that will be, but it should be before the end of the calendar year. Let's see, what else we have. We have published our RFP for the Southfield and Beverly Road intersection study. The proposals are due by November 21st, 2025. We'll review the proposals and bring a recommendation for council in December. Safe routes to school. We had 5 locations left that still needed to be poured. 4 of them have been poured. There is one final area on Beechwood, and it is being held up until DTE relocates a nearby utility pole. DTE is going at the speed of DTE. We're trying to work with our government rep and get that expedited, but that's why that one area still has not been poured. Crosswalk striping is underway this week, and we did some landscaping installation began on Saturday, November 1st for that project. One thing that I've kind of talked about a little bit before, just utility bills. We had a staff member go to a training through I don't remember the name of the program, through GLEWA, Great Lakes Water Authority, for affordability, help with meeting utility bill needs. There's definitely programs besides that one and funding sources in Oakland County that many residents may not realize they qualify for, and essentially the message of that training was, the best way for people to find those resources is to contact United Way by calling 211. We've got some cards out in Village Hall. We've already had some conversations trying to steer people into that program. So again, even if you think you may not qualify, there may be a program out there for you. So I just want to do a plug for that. And then
Mr. Rothy, is that the RAP?
Yes,
program?
yes, that was one of the programs. I think there was a few other items that could help people who have had leaks in their home and need some things repaired. There were some programs that United Way had connections to. So if somebody does want to reach out, highly encourage them to do so. Lastly, before I turn it over to Director Arnold to share some exciting updates, bathroom. So, bathrooms at the park, we do clean the bathrooms. We check on them on the weekends. They are checked in the morning. This past Saturday, we did have another incident where the men's room at the end of the day was full. The toilet was full. We actually had, by luck, we had a pavilion rental that day by a village employee who, when they left the pavilion around 3 o'clock, the toilet was in good working order. By the time 4:30 rolled around, someone had clogged said toilet. So we do regular maintenance on that sewer lateral. We clean it out twice a year. It appears that these incidences right now, again, are just trying to put too much into the toilet to get it to flush properly. We're not concerned at the moment with any deeper issues with the sewer lateral. So again, it's an unpleasant feature of public restrooms. We're going to keep monitoring it, and if we need to make some adjustments, we will. I just wanted to get on record and saying they are cleaned. They are cleaned in the mornings. So again, that does, with the staffing we have our on-call person coming in. They take care of it in the mornings, and we do our regular maintenance on that sewer lateral. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Director Arnold, who figured could talk about 3 things that he's been working on. First, staffing, and the fill the boots, and then I don't remember.
Saves.
Yes, the Saves program. So
So it's it's no surprise to anyone that staffing across the nation for public safety and police departments has been very difficult. I have to give kudos to Mr. Rothie as well as the council and the officers, union negotiators for negotiating such a fantastic contract, which has put us in the spotlight of being one of the desired police agencies in Oakland County to come work for. With that being said, we have extended 5 conditional offers of employment to 5 officers, which have all been accepted. I expect them to all come on board at the first of the year, if not before. We have gotten a great variety of candidates, from a soon-to-be retiring lieutenant from Owasso that has 15 years of experience within the Detective Bureau on top of his 25 years of supervisory experience, to a former officer that worked in a municipality here in Oakland County, and now she is working in Wayne County, but wishes to come back to Oakland County where she feels more at home. Both of them are cross-trained officers, both public safety officers previous to coming here. Then we also have an officer who has 6 years' experience from California, whose family relocated here into Oakland County, and he wishes to continue his career in law enforcement. He accepted an offer. And then we have 2 officers who have no experience whatsoever. One has gone through the police academy. He's a former Macomb County Corrections Officer, and another who will be graduating the Police Academy in mid-December. So all of them have accepted conditional offers of employment, and I see them starting on the first of the year. A couple of them will have to attend the Fire Academy, so they will be cross-trained for us, as is our requirement, but we'll be on the ground running with these officers January of next year. So
Awesome. How does that put us from a staffing to fully?
One
That's
more.
awesome.
Yeah, one more officer and we'll be fully staffed.
That's the closest we've been in a while, I believe.
Ever.
So again, with the contract and our recruitment team went out there with, the officers were visiting the academies, they were visiting community colleges, we interviewed them, they participated in the interviews, and I kind of took a hands-off approach to it and let them go out there and do their work, and then just made the final decisions as to whether or not we thought these were qualified candidates based on their recommendations, and these are top quality candidates.
Outstanding.
Yes, we're very excited about that. A couple other projects that I think you are all aware of that the Public Safety Department has participated in. Officers have been coming to me over the last couple of months and asking to participate in community awareness and community events. The first one was the Fill the Boot campaign that we did in October, 6 dates with various locations at Market Fresh and out in front of TJ Maxx, where Officer Ryan LaForte spearheaded that program, but he was also assisted by fellow supervisors and officers within the department, and he and the team managed to collect $4,200 for breast cancer awareness that we donated to breast cancer awareness. Mr. Abood spent his afternoon out there with them. It was rumored that he was shaking down people in the parking lot of Market Fresh, but nobody made a complaint about that. So he established the record date, actually, the date that Mr. Abood was there. So very appreciative of the council's support of that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
An awesome cause. The second one is upcoming. It is Toys for Tots. We just received our boxes. I believe we'll be competing with members of the Village Hall. Ms. Brown, is that did you throw that gauntlet down a couple days ago?
Yeah.
See how that works out for you? Remember, I do the keys to the building when it's closed. Just saying. So we'll be placing boxes here in the Village Hall and a box in the lobby of the police agency. Again, this was spearheaded by Officer LaForte, so he's been doing some great work. The third and final one came through me by the Chief of Police in Rochester. It's referred to as the SAVES Project. SAVES stands for Special Needs, Autism, Vulnerable Persons, and Elderly Safety. It's a project that was begun by 2 officers, one from Warren and an officer from Rochester. Ironically, they are working together with this project because they have a special needs daughter, but they are a divorced couple who are working together to benefit the communities that have special needs residents within. The project is for education of the police departments, stickers on cars, stickers on homes, envelopes that contain information if the traffic stop is conducted and there's a special needs person within the car, so it makes the officers aware to that. Also, awareness if we are responding to a home where there is a special needs person inside. It goes beyond that, though, to QR codes and things that can be worn, bracelets, things that can be put on backpacks in case we get a wanderer, which it's not uncommon for special needs people to wander from their homes. And unfortunately, if they are nonverbal, and even if they are verbal, sometimes it's very difficult for them to communicate to us where they live. With this QR code, the officers can scan it in on their phone, and the SAVES project has their own internal database, which will then tell us what their name is, what their special needs are, how we should interact with them, and ultimately how to get them back to where they need to be, to their caregiver. So I met with the SAVES project personnel today. This is a pet project of Sergeant William Brewster, our detective sergeant who has a special needs daughter, but it's something close to my heart because I have a special needs family member as well. And the first thing that I thought when the SAVES project was proposed to me is, I can't see any negative impact to this. Why aren't we doing this? It is on board with some larger agencies as well. Warren, Macomb County Sheriff, Birmingham just signed on to it. So their hopes are to get a national database or a Michigan-based database through CLEMIS or MCOLS. They have not gotten to that point yet, but as they grow, they intend to. But we are hoping to be online with SAVES. I think it's optimistic to say the first of the year. So just to bring the council up to date with that. We have posted it on our village Facebook page with Sergeant Brewster's department email for any resident who wishes to begin the registration process with us into the SAVES program. It's a very quality program.
Awesome.
Firmly believe it's going to benefit us.
Love it.
Great work. I'm going to ask you to put it on the village page as well. Perfect, thank you.
Questions?
Yeah,
Comments?
I do. One question, Chief. I think appreciate the updates. The SAVES program sounds wonderful and really promising. Just taking a quick look at their website, it sounds like, there's going to be a ramp-up time, right, where individuals, learn about the program and register their family members and whatnot. Is there also training for our officers so that, they can recognize situations and, even if somebody doesn't have the QR code on their backpack and whatnot, they can better learn to identify people that might need different kind of assistance and de-escalate situations. Could you tell us about that?
There is. Well, with Sergeant Brewster having a special needs child in his home, he's very familiar with kind of the triggers and kind of how to best practices to deal with someone who has special needs. He attended the training that SAVES has provided him, and he is going to filter that out to the officers. It will be a department thing. This will not be, I don't want to be trained in the SAVES program. This will be mandatory training that everyone has to take because we won't have a SAVES officer out on the street every day. So in my opinion, we should have a SAVES department out on the street every day. So everyone will be trained in it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions or comments for Director Arnold or Mr. Rothy? Yes, sir.
I do have one for Mr. Rothy. So you mentioned DTE about a pole for safe routes. So I've been pricing burying poles, and it's about $6,000 a pole. So who's going to be paying that tab? Is it DTE, or is the safe routes kind of already spent and they're going to figure it out? I'm just curious.
I believe this one was one we were just able to have DTE relocate at no cost to us. I think there were a few other locations, and actually at the next council meeting, I am going to bring a poll request just over $5,000 for TAP. So I don't want people to get confused, but I don't think we had a cost for this one.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Take one of the ones that's laying in people's yards.
Some of those. I can say at this location, because this is one of the locations I brought up, the pole is now there, lying on the side of the street, on the other side of the street, so we can see what they're probably going to do. So it's making slow progress. So I appreciate it.
It's a battle of inches.
Step one. Get
It's there.
Other questions on the manager's report? Thank you, Director Arnold, very much. My question, I saw a pre-construction meeting. What's the status of the contractor selected for TAP? Was one selected? Have we identified it as, where are we in signing? I'd like to know because I was told there might be progress that could be made even when it's not concrete pouring season, based on the fact we have some footings to deal with, some retention to deal with, so.
Yes, to answer that, when the council approved the agreement with MDOT several council meetings ago, they delegated authority, much like with Safe Routes, that MDOT selects the contractor. MDOT did select the contractor. We are working on getting that pre-construction meeting scheduled. We do still anticipate being able to start taking some of those other items, when there's still frost on the ground. I don't have a date yet, but contractor has been selected.
Great.
I don't know if I listed them in my report. No, I didn't, but again, that bid did come in under to about 60 grand is what their low bid was, that MDOT. And again, it's pre-qualified MDOT process. We don't have a say in who the contractor is. We just, we actually don't even pay for the project. MDOT pays for it, and then they bill us our share too. It's kind of interesting how that works. Yeah, so MDOT's in control of that, and as soon as I know more, you guys will be the first to know.
Super. Any other questions for Mr. Rothy? If not, we'll move on to council comments. Mr. Mercer.
No comments tonight, thank you.
All right, Ms. Cascometti.
Just briefly, I just want to thank the Parks Committee and the Parks Board and all of the folks that participated in organizing the hoot. It was a big turnout, again, sort of an overwhelming turnout, and so thank you to village staff, Clerk Brown, and everyone in the office, and everyone on the Park Board that had a hand in that, and the folks that volunteered. It was a really nice event. It was a really nice night, and good to see so many of you and so many people in the community. So appreciate events like that our Parks group works really hard to put on. Thank you.
All right, Mr. O'Gorman.
No comment this evening.
All right, Mrs. Rajewsko.
Yeah, I'd like to echo Ms. Cascometti's thanks for all the hard work that Parks and Administration did for the Halloween Hoot, and I want to thank the community for helping out with candy donations this year. That was a huge help to all of the booth providers, and, all the people that set up in a few hours and take down in the dark of night to make that event happen. It is a lot of fun. I also want to really thank Public Safety on Halloween night. I saw them out with their spotlights. I think that's the first time I've ever seen Public Safety out shining spots on Halloween night, but it was a really super nice thing to see. They shine it in my window while I was sitting there for my 3 trick-or-treaters that I get, so I felt like it was kind of like a wave hello. While I sat there waiting for somebody to walk down my street. I also, in the past, and since I have you here, Director Arnold, there has been conversation about an AED being put at Beverly Park, and it kind of went back and forth for a while, and we were told we didn't need it, and we couldn't put one there, and there was no way to lock it. And then the other day, I was walking to Grove's Wrestling Camp, and lo and behold, on the outside of the building next to the baseball fields, there is an outdoor AED that somehow is still on the side of the building and has not been stolen. And I think with the number of sporting events and runs and walks and everything else that we have at Beverly Park, seeing if there's a way that we could have something similar to that at the park, so that when we do have these cross-country events and everything else, we have an AED at the ready should we need it. I would just like to put that request out once again, if there's a way to see if we can have it happen. I think it would be a huge benefit for the community. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Abud.
Thank you, Mr. George. SEMCOG, we'll start with that. Funding for pre-development infrastructure projects. The MIO, or the Michigan Infrastructure Office, is working with the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, and they launched a new pre-development accelerator pilot program to help communities prepare infrastructure projects for future funding. Municipalities can apply for up to $50,000 to cover pre-development activities such as planning, design, feasibility studies, environmental review for surface transportation, transit, drinking, and wastewater projects. Applications are due Monday, December the 1st, and the live informational webinar will be held on Monday, November 10th at 11 a.m. if anybody wants to get on that and find out a little more about what that entails. Michigan Municipal League Elected Officials Academy Board meeting will be taking place in January 2026, already in the new year. Cable Board meeting, upcoming meeting in Village Hall will be on 11/19/2025, 8:30, or is it 8:45 a.m.? 8:40. Oh, 7:45, all right. So, I'll be late. Okay. Next is grateful for the village to allocate the lawn care and some of their senior services. I talked to Director Braun this afternoon, and she wasn't up to par to come, but she apologizes for missing the meeting because she was going to give us a little more detail as well. Senior Advisory Council, nothing to report, but I do want to finish and round this out with thanking Public Safety for all their efforts to not only hire the best officers, but also giving back to the community with their fundraisers and helping various causes. So thank you for that, and thank you, Council, for all that you do. And thanks to the residents who are always supporting us.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Drummond.
I just want to apologize to everyone for my tardiness this evening. It was one of those 3 kids and 2 parent nights, so outnumbered, and unfortunately it cost me to be about an hour late tonight. So my apologies to everyone.
That happens. I remember the conversation I had with one of our neighbors across the street when they were pregnant with their 3rd. And she said, "What's the biggest difference between 2 and 3?" And I said, "It's just so much harder to get out the door when you go from man coverage to zone coverage." So I get it. It is tough being in all the places at one time. Bunch of quick hit things. First off, some updates from members of the community. I was going to, I love the update on the saves. I was going to actually say, geez, do you feel, I've got the Facebook post pulled up. I was going to say, do you feel comfortable, are you involved enough in this to give us an update? And clearly you're all over that. So awesome. Love that we've got members of the team driving that. I know that they are appreciative of you supporting some of the initiatives of the things they're interested in that can make the community better. So that's good. One of the other things that was a lot of fun for me, because it's a kid I've known for a while, Giada Mills, who is a freshman at Groves, finished 23rd in the state at the state cross country meet, ran a personal best of 18:03 on a 5K, beat the school record by 25 seconds, which is pretty big. That's that record's been around since, I think, 2012 or something like that, so not bad for a freshman campaign. So that was pretty cool. Went to the Groves football playoff game the other night. They handled business quite effectively. Had a young man named Jeremiah Whitley who ran for 322 yards and 6 touchdowns, which is that's a good season for a lot of kids. So I mean that was a fun night. They have another playoff game at home. This is probably the last home playoff game. So Friday night at Groves, you don't have to worry about the sun being in your eyes anymore since we changed the clocks. Next point, change the clocks. We clearly don't have the atomic updating clocks, so it's not approaching 10 in Chambers here. So we'll get that taken care of in Chamber. Last community member I wanted to highlight, I saw what I believe to be Mr. Tababin in the planting bed the other day. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it might be Mrs. Tababin that was with you cleaning up that planting bed, but I didn't see her face, so. There you go. So thank you for being in the park, helping get that cleaned up and looking nice. Along the lines of cleaning up foliage, super excited that when you pull up to the stop sign on Beverly Road at Evergreen and look north, we're clearing that corner. I am being greedy, and so if we can take a little bit more of an angle so you can have great line of sight seeing what's coming south, but that is a huge improvement. That's one of the challenges that anybody who has ever stopped at that stop sign and tried to turn towards Groves or head south, you know that you got to pull out pretty far, and then when anyone's trying to turn onto Beverly Road, they're giving you the stink eye because you're pulled out halfway into the intersection. So making that more visible is appreciated. again, big shout out to public safety. Lots of good stuff happening there, and I appreciate it. And the Hoot, I'm sorry that I couldn't join. I had to go to state and go see a kid there while we were preparing to watch Michigan State get their teeth kicked in by Michigan. So congrats to the Michigan fans, and keep rolling there. So lots of good things going on in the community. I'm incredibly excited to hear that we are getting close to fully staffed in public safety. That is something that is budgeted for, and so understand that every year, if we're understaffed, we're spending a bunch on overtime, and so this will help control the overtime and make it so that people don't have to work a lot of overtime. They can spend time with their families and come here refreshed and not have to fight about the extra hours, who's taking what. That's exciting. I'm glad we're getting a good mix of seasoned people and some new people. I know a firefighter in a neighboring community who might be looking to branch out. I might send him your way as he looks for the next act. But I'm appreciative that we're getting to the point where we're fully staffed, and I think people are going to recognize, especially when we see council and the community supporting the things, all these officers want to be here, and they go into that line of work because they want to help people. And they have ideas of what that means, and us listening to them, I think, is meaningful. So I'm appreciative that they want to bring good ideas and good activities and make it a better place. So that's all good. So with that, I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night. Thank you.